I'll join y'all as soon as I get everything on there.
You go ahead, Mr. McIntosh. You're on.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we're going to address the issue of the swirling of the racism around Bonnie Willis in Georgia and all of the attacks that's taking place on her who is not on trial, but have been put on trial. We're going to address that and other hot topics. But be sure to like and share the show. We'll go to our host, Mr. Bill Snow, who is the author of the great book, From the Project to the Boardroom, Mr. Derek Scott, who is the chair of the Escambia Democrat Party here in Escambia County, Dear Lewis Daggs, who is also chair of Okaloosa State Committee woman and many other things that she's doing, Mr. Vernon Watson, who will be joining us in a few seconds here with Our Voices, the People's Media. As I say, be sure to like and share the show. You can give us a call at 850-206-3776. That's 850-206-3776. And we definitely want to hear from you. First, I want to talk about Movement for Change. We are having our 27th year anniversary for Movement for Change, which will be at Improv here on June 21st, 2024. Be sure to join us. Our tickets are still $50. We didn't take our tickets up this year, but they are $50. They might be changing next year, but they definitely $50 this year. Also, our keynote speaker will be Kyla Janae Lacey, who is a poet and a history major, but she's been on some 300 and some colleges speaking. She's been with many magazines. She's been profiled by many magazines. Also, she's been on Tamron Hall show, and she worked with Karen Hunter on Sirius Records, Sirius XM Radio. So be sure to come out and hear a great poet, but a great.
She's been on Our Voices, hasn't she?
Yeah, she have been on Our Voices for sure. And you know, I guess I just throw this little plug in there that she is my niece.
She's gonna be a treat. She's gonna be a treat. She is sharp.
She is that. But Derek, I'm gonna kick it to you.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Hope all is well. I hope everybody had a great week. We have, as Mr. McIntosh said, quite a few things to cover this evening, but the very first thing would like to do, it's just since we started in that capacity, we'll just finish it off, is go around the room and see if any of our hosts and hosts have anything that they would like us to know. And I will, as Jill told me to switch it up today, I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to start with Mr. Vernon. Do you have anything that you want to share today?
No, unfortunately, I don't have anything, Derek, so I'm going to pass it to Big Bill.
All right. Mr. Snow.
Yeah, good evening, panel. So good to be with you guys. Hopefully we've got our Oscar viewing audience back with us, but considering it was Oscars week on last week, we had a pretty good showing of people on our Facebook stream. So hopefully on all of our other mediums, it was up still as well. But one thing I want to bring to the attention of our faithful Our Voice viewers is the fact that there's this serious conflict, civil war, whatever you want to call it, going on in Haiti. Something that the mainstream media is not going to say much about, but they've got gangs that first of all, they don't have an elected prime minister right now. They've got this guy named Jimmy Barbecue. Barbecue is his nickname, but he is a former policeman turned gang member, and he leads one of the biggest gangs in Haiti. Now, let's remember that during the colonization, Haiti had the great uprising and overthrew the government and ended up paying all of this money up until right now to France for their independence, just to be recognized. Napoleon Bonaparte sold, the brother was missing the other week, Mrs. Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase, because he needed the funds to try to overcome France. But nonetheless, it's an uprising, and it's factions that's trying to take over. The guy that took over basically pulled the coup after Moise was killed is kind of in charge, but says that he will relinquish power if they hold a democratically elected election over there. But let's be very watchful, because there may very well be genocide, and Barbecue is saying vehemently that he is willing to just start killing. So it's a power struggle, and we need to be watchful and mindful of what's going on in Haiti. But that's it. That's all I have.
Hey, Bill, can I say one thing on that issue? I think I'm hoping that, and you never know what the real truth is. You get to this guy, this Barbecue guy. I don't see him any different than I saw Castro. Maybe he saw a government that wasn't working for his people, and I think by naming them gang members, trying to vilify him a little bit, and maybe, and he's a little bit I know about. I don't know much about it at all, but little he done. He if they willing to put somebody in place that they can trust, unlike. They didn't trust the guy that they put in place because they said United States controlled him, something like that. But they can put somebody in place that they can trust. Maybe they can have some workable government there. So yeah,
I agree. I agree with everything you just said, Ver. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, that the government was beginning to work when Aristide was there. When Aristide was taken out of power by Clinton, who was a Democrat, who we supported, I supported, but when they took Aristide out of power, they left a vacuum that has not been filled since. But the reason they took Aristide out of power is because he was suing France. He was suing France for $2 billion, right. And and they knew that if he won in France in the court of the law and public opinion, that he would come in for the United States next,
right?
Great Britain, because they're the one put an embargo on France for many, many years, and they couldn't get anything out. Then we sent military people in to take all of their gold and take over their banks and everything else. They took over $500 million worth of gold out of Haiti during that period, and left that country in total disarray, and it's still that way right now. And
they're still paying France. They're still paying.
Yeah. On top of that, when the hurricane hit it, earthquake hit it, we raised $2 billion in America to give to Haiti. That money never got there. Nobody know what it like. The money disappeared in a vacuum. Only because the government of Haiti wanted the Haitian people to help rebuild the country. Right. But America wanted to give all the money to the contractors to go in there. But the government at that time wanted to rebuild with Haitian people so they would have jobs over there. Yeah. It was building back the middle class. So during that period, they didn't give nothing to Haiti. I think they built 6 houses over there, something like that. Yeah, and that was crazy. And they never recovered from that hurricane and earthquake.
Well, they've got a suit going now, Brother Jerry, suing France for all of what it has paid over the years. So they feel like they're in economic ruin, and their neighborhoods and the infrastructure is so terrible because they've been paying good money to France all of those years. So they have actually started a lawsuit hoping to get a big part of that money back.
Hopefully they will succeed, but in the world courts and all of that, those individuals, they don't recognize nobody but other white people.
Absolutely.
If you notice, when it comes to the world court, they only put black people or other people on trial in the world court. They have never put any of these white criminals on trial.
Right.
Court, except the guy from Serbia. I think that was Serbia, one of them countries over there. And that was only because the whole world was pushing them to do it.
Absolutely.
It's what's interesting. You know, you talked about the money that they took out, the 500 million. That money that they took from the Haitian people went to form the company that we now know in the United States as Citigroup. So and Citibank. So people who have Citigroup and Citibank Visa cards and use that financial institution, just know where the ill-gotten gains came from that standpoint. So thank you for sharing that with us. And maybe we'll talk about that at a later show. It might be a good point just to share with everybody, you know, as we in future shows what's going on within IET and how we can help, you know, as a group. So
thanks,
Christina, welcome. Do you have anything that you want to share with our folks today?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. I hope everybody's doing well. Great to see everybody on this Sunday. For those who don't know, I am running to be a delegate, and I am asking for your vote today. I am a voting rights activist. I am the current president of the Santa Rosa County Democratic Black Caucus. I'm the president of the Santa Rosa County Women's Club. I need your support. I'm also the first vice president of the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida at the state level, and that's who I am. That's what I do. And so I am asking for your vote within Congressional District 1 to please send me as a delegate from our area to the National Convention. The National Convention is going to be in August, and I don't know if everybody has seen, I think many of us who are in our 40s and older may have remembered that was the first time many of us ever saw then Senator Barack Obama speaking for
40s. No, I'm not there.
I remember that was the first time I saw him speak. But what happens at the National Convention is that there are delegates there that represent different areas from all over the country and submit the vote to say, this is who we want to be our president. And of course, I'm on board with Biden-Harris. I have been a long time supporter of Vice President Kamala Harris. I was actually there in Oakland when she opened up her headquarters, and I was part of a group of people that helped move a lot of her supporters over to Joe Biden. I do what's called social storming for her and for Joe Biden, and to help really change the narrative around. Again, we have suffered from voter suppression in this area for a long time. And that's actually why I am the founding president of the Santa Rosa County Democratic Black Caucus. I founded it back in '98, I believe. And so I was the very first president.
Not 98.
Yes, Joe.
The wrong time. Not 98. 2018 or something. Not 98.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I was like,
Thank you. So about 2018. I'm going back way too far. Thank you. 2018. And about that time. So thank you. So I am really passionate. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I'm here, I'm a fighter. And I stand for our community, everyone in our community. I am right now working to make sure that Black cemeteries in Santa Rosa County are registered and properly, that folks who are buried there get the proper treatment that they deserve. So again, I'm here, I'm asking for your support. You do have to vote in person, and I will be able to get you that information here in a minute. But the voting is going to occur both in Escambia County I'll get that information in just a second, but it's going to happen in Escambia County and in Santa Rosa County. The time is going to be Escambia County, not in Santa Rosa County, but in Okaloosa County. The time will be between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And in the chat, for those who are on Facebook, I will put in the chat where you can go to vote. So again, I'm asking for your support. I need your support. I really want to represent us in Chicago at the National Convention, and I can't do that without you. So you got to show up. I need your vote, need you to come out, and please, please, please help support me. Become a delegate for the Biden-Harris team.
Hey, I have a question. You know, so as people are listening to you talk, Christina, we all know, well, for the most part, I think most of us know Biden's going to be our presumptive nominee, Democratic nominee for this election cycle. Can you just elaborate on why it is important? Like why some people will say, well, who cares if you're going to cast a ballot for just Joe Biden? Not that Joe Biden is not important, but this is not a contentious cycle year. So why is it important that we elect people to be a delegate, and why specifically? So that would be the question.
So that actually goes back to our Constitution. Yes, Jill.
I was just going to add, could you also tell them, I guess it's great you're running, you're going to tell us why you're running, you're going to tell us what you're going to do, but how does it impact them locally? Why should they leave their house?
Well, thank you. What a great question. One is because I support our community. There's going to be a lot of people running, and I want to make sure that at a national stage, they understand what is happening here in our area, what is going on. So I want to bring that message back. And I believe that those folks that look like us, we should have a seat at the table. We should have a seat at every table. I don't believe we should be shut out. That's who we are. And why is it so important? That actually goes back to our Constitution. This is when we vote for. I'll be voting for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. There are people who may go and say they're going to do that, but they could do a protest vote and not vote at all. So this is something that's really, really important. Again, it dates back to our Constitution. For folks who actually live in the territories, this is as far, for some of the territories, this is as far as they get to go to actually vote. So this is historic. It's really important. I support our community. I support the Black community. I have always been here. I've always been fighting, and that's who I am. So thank you.
For those who are I don't know if I thought I heard you allude to it, but I'm not quite sure you said it. For those who are interested in voting, they can vote on April the 20th in Escambia in Okaloosa counties. In Escambia, it will take place at Bethlehem Church in the Fellowship Hall, which is located at 511 Woodland Drive here in Pensacola, in at the Niceville something north.
In Niceville, it's at the City Council Chambers, 208 North Parton Drive. It's in the complex where the police station is, the fire department, the library. It's where Parton hub of Niceville. So come join us, vote for Christina, and help us get her to Chicago so that she can fight for us.
So again, if for folks that did not hear, you have to come in person on April 20th. Voting is going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. As was stated, it's going to be at Niceville City Hall, 208 North Parton Drive in Niceville, Bethel AME Fellowship Hall, 511 Woodland Drive in Pensacola. You do have to show up in person. I need you. I want your vote. Please vote for me, Christina Forrest.
And we have
Give that date one more time. What's that date?
Yes, that date
April 20th.
is April 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And we have the opportunity here in Congressional District 1 to elect a total of 4 individuals, 2 male and 2 female. So if I'm sure as time progresses, you'll get more information on who the actual finalized candidates will be, and who you can cast your vote. I think I agree with Christina that it's important for people, especially this year, to make sure that we have sent the right delegates, those that understand what the Biden-Harris administration is focused on, those that value diversity in all kinds, and support it, and not demonstrate performative allyship from that standpoint. So I think it is important that we get the right people, and if you have questions on who those folks are, certainly we can point you in a better direction or in the best direction that we would recommend, as Democrats, in spite of knowing the people who are voting. So thanks for that, Christina. Jill, what do you got for us?
I am just going to share an event that is going on in Crestview this weekend coming up. I had to make sure what day today was. Next Saturday, March 23rd, the Triple B will be in Crestview downtown. If you're not familiar with it, people come from all across the United States. They cook all different kinds of barbecue. You get to taste it. You get to vote on it. And in the end, they find out who had the best brisket, the best sauce, the people's choice. It's a great opportunity. What we'll be doing is we will be getting petitions for Gabe Alamont, who is running against Matt Gaetz. She has until the 25th to get about 2,000 more petitions. I know some are coming in, so this is information from about 2 weeks ago. If you have not signed a petition, you need to. I'm sure that our wonderful host Derek will drop it into wherever it needs to go so that you can download it, sign it, get it to who it needs to go to. We want to make sure that we give her the opportunity to be on the ballot. So it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, an MPA, a Republican, you just need to be a registered voter and give her the opportunity to share her story and run against Matt Gaetz. And I think that you never want somebody to go unopposed. So everybody give her the opportunity. If not, she has to pay $10,000. So signing a piece of paper saves her from spending $10,000. Back to the Triple B. We will also be doing voter registration, vote by mail, talking and educating voters. There's about 10,000 people that come out. So come join us, come visit downtown Crestview and get you some great food, see some good people, and sign a petition. Thank you.
What day is that again, Jill?
Saturday, October 23rd, and it is from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
October 23rd?
I mean, October. I'm just, I don't know. It's Christina's fault.
April.
No, March.
March.
Next Saturday, March 23rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
That's all I have for now.
Okay, and Jill started talking about what I was going to say, but I'll just make sure that I follow it up. Right now, as Jill mentioned, we have a candidate who is doing her best to try to get on the ballot, and that is to run against Matt Gaetz. And we want to make sure that she has the opportunity to get on the ballot, but more specifically to get on the ballot without having to pay. And by doing so, in order to do that, we need to make sure that all of her petitions across Northwest Florida in Congressional District 1, so that's Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and portions of Walton County, all have signatures. We're asking, if you have not yet signed a petition, please be sure to do so. You can go to, I will post, for those who are watching on Facebook, I will make sure I post a link where you can download the petition. I've even given on this link, you will get 2 petitions. So I'll ask that you download the copy, sign a petition, ask someone else you know to sign a petition. But before you do that, make 5 copies of that piece of paper and get 9 other people to sign those petitions. Once you have signed the petition, please make sure you get it back. You can either send it to, give it to one of us. If you know us, you can reach out to us. We'll collect the petitions. You can drop it off at the Escambia Democratic Headquarters, which is at 2618 North Martin Luther King Drive, and we will get it, or you can mail it to the post office box for Gay. Just reach out to us. I will also place, for those of you all who are watching who don't have access, we're not on Facebook Live, I will make sure that I post the link to the petition on my Facebook page. So you can go there and download the petition directly. Again, I'm Derek Scott. You'll see my Facebook profile says on blackity black black black. That's my picture. If you're looking for it, it was for in honor of Black History Month, and I have not changed it back. So look for that. Download the petition and sign it. Just get it back to us. If you don't know how, give us a call, shoot me a message. We'll make sure that we get it back. It is going to be critical that we do so. Continue along the lines of petition. If you have not yet done so, and you live within the city limits of Pensacola, Florida, as identified by having a black garbage can, please make sure that you go to www.savepensacola.com. Again, that's www.savepensacola.com, and sign the petition to save the Malcolm Young gym. And I know most of you have all said, well, Derek, have you not been? Malcolm Young is gone. We know, but they're still collecting petitions so they can do a ballot referendum, either to build, place, whatever the measure is that they're looking for. It needs to be in the hands of the voters and the electorate in the city of Pensacola. So make sure that you sign that petition. Again, that's www.savepensacola.com. Someone, if you fill out the information online, someone will then contact you and coordinate a time to come to you to get your physical signature on that petition. So those are the 2 things that we have, and I thank you for that. As we continue with our show, for this month alone, we are specifically focusing on ensuring that we highlight notable Black women or women of color, as this is Women's History Month. So as we start off our segment, I will continue the same fashion and go to the last person. Well, I'll start with me today, I guess, since I was the last person to go, and share with you a person of highlight that I would like everybody to share. And mine is a little bit of it's not in the political realm, it's not anything like that, but I want to highlight someone of my Caribbean ancestry. For those that don't know, not only am I from Pensacola, but I'm also West Indian and Bajan, to be specific, or from the island of Barbados. So with that, you probably know who I'm going to talk about, but that is the wonderful Robin Rihanna Fenty. She has carved out her own lane through her music, her business ventures like Fenty Skin, Fenty Beauty, and Savage X Fenty. And she is notably one of our top tier businesswomen here in the U.S. In 2021, Forbes magazine named her as one of America's richest self-made women. And at that time, she was estimated to be about worth about 1.7 billion, making her the wealthiest female musician in the world. which is iconic as a woman from St. James Parish in Barbados. She's also made philanthropy part of her mission by championing diversity and inclusion through all of her brands and pledging about $15 million towards climate justice through her Clara Lionel Foundation. So I highlight Robin Rihanna Fenton. Jill, who do you have for us today?
All right. Good evening. I'm prepared this week. Last week I wasn't prepared. And this is kind of dear to my heart. If you know, although you see all these titles about politics, I really, if I could fight for what I wanted to fight for, it would be for abused women and children. So I picked Tarana Burke. She is a civil rights activist. She is best known for organizing the hashtag #MeToo movement in 2006. And as a means for victims of sexual violence to share their experiences with others, forming an alliance among survivors. Tarana J. Burke asserts that Me Too is more than just a movement in time. As the founder of this vital and growing movement, and as someone who has been organizing within issues facing Black women and girls for more than 3 decades, Tarana has a commitment and a vision that is bigger than a hashtag or a viral moment. Tarana faced the realization that too many girls were suffering and surviving abuse without access to resources, safe spaces, support. Tarana has created and led campaigns which have shown a spotlight on the harm perpetuated against communities of color. Specifically, Tarana's work to end sexual violence has exposed the ugly truths of sexism, has spoken truth to power, has increased access to resources and support for survivors, and has paved the way forward in expanding an inclusive movement. Tarana's steadfast commitment to the cause has led to numerous accolades, including in 2017, Time Person of the Year, 2019, Sydney Peace Prize, among many other honors. Burke has spent her life empowering women to share their stories and fight against sexual assault with the slogan, empowerment through empathy. My highlight is for Tarana J. Burke today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, for that. Bill, who do you have for us today?
I'd like to call attention tonight to Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Anita Chisholm. Born November 30th of 1924, was an American politician who in 1968 became the first Black woman to be elected to the United States Congress. She represented New York's 12th Congressional District, a district centered on Bedford-Stuyvesant, for 7 terms from 69 to 83. In 1972, she became the first Black candidate of a major party nominated for the President of the United States, the first woman to run for the Democratic Party presidential nomination. Throughout her career, she was known for taking a resolute stand against economic, social, and political injustice, as well as being a strong supporter of Black civil rights and women's rights. That 1972 bid was during the time that James Brown was all over the airways saying, "Say it out loud." Shirley Chisholm is my Black female spotlight of the week.
Thank you for that. Christina, who do you have for us today?
Hi, well, I am super excited to talk about Representative Sheila Jackson Lee out of Texas. She is one of my favorite representatives. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee represents the 18th Congressional District of Texas and the United States House of Representatives. Since her election in 1994, she has become an influential voice in Washington and was named by Congressional Quarterly as one of the 50th most effective members of Congress. Originally from Queens, New York, Congresswoman Jackson Lee earned her undergraduate in political science from Yale University with honors, and the first graduating class including women, followed by a JD from the University of Virginia Law School. She is a founder, member, and co-chair of the Congressional Children's Caucus, and currently sits on 3 congressional committees: the House Committee, the Judiciary, Homeland Security, and the Crucial Budget Committee. During her tenure, Congresswoman Jackson Lee has introduced several bills, including juvenile accountability, block grant reauthorization, bullying prevention and intervention act, including several bills dealing with immigration. And I think that's really important when we look at bills like what Governor DeSantis just signed versus the work that Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has done continuously. And so that's who I would like to highlight today is Representative Sheila Jackson Lee.
Thank you for that, Christina. Minister McIntyre, who do you have for us today?
Amanda Gorham, who was the youngest president inaugurated poet in U.S. history. She is a committed advocate for the environment, racial equality, and gender justice. In 2017, Urban World named her the first ever National Youth Poet Laureate. Gorham performed her poem, The Hill We Climb, at the 2021 president inauguration, receiving critical acclaim and international attention. The special edition of her inaugural poem debuted at #1 in the New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal bestsellers lists. She is also the author of the children's picture book, Change Things and Something Someday. After graduate cum laude from Harvard University, she now lives in her hometown of Los Angeles. And she has a book out in this. I'm gonna do this one early because it is great. Amanda Gorham. Call us what we carry. Awesome book.
Great, thank you for that. All right, Mr. Vernon is gone.
Before you go to the next, Christina was talking about the difference between sister in Texas and DeSantis here, Sheila Jackson Lee. Also, the language that is being used to describe immigrants in the country, poisoning the blood of America and all of this craziness. That's the difference in people who are doing the work and people who just want to be critics and do nothing but stir the people up and cause people to turn against people who are trying to escape tyranny to put them into more tyranny. Go ahead, Derek.
Oh, no, that was a great ad. Thank you for that. Now, I'm turning it back over to you to get into our topics for today. What do you have up for us first off?
We're going to definitely talk about what happened with Bonnie Willis. But what I found out yesterday that her and Nate Nathan is his name, I believe, had broke up. Yeah, it broke up before she hired him as the attorney for the prosecutor to prosecute the case that where Trump tried to steal the election. But they reversed it on her, that somehow she becomes the person that have done something wrong. They found no wrongdoing on her part. But the judge, the hypocrisy of the judge who said she left an aura of mendacity, as if she was lying and, she was had taken something. And then he went on to say that the state legislators or the bar should look in, has the opportunity to look into something. In other words, he couldn't find anything on her. He didn't have no reason to remove her. In the very beginning, he had no reason. There was no reason for for her to be put on trial and try to use public opinion to push her out or to try to force her to resign. But this is the kind of things that are taking place, and we have to we have to be very conscious of what's happening because the distraction is so obvious there that when we see these things happening, it seems like, you know, we are carrying the water for sometime for these people who have no good intention to make sure that the truth is out there, and that it seems to me they're supporting, especially the media. I'm like, why are they carrying the water for Trump? But yet, by the same token, they know that this man is trying to be a dictator who tried to overthrow the government. That's what was on trial, or what should have been on trial. The person that's trying to overthrow this government tried to steal the election from the people of Georgia, and said that the people in Georgia and Philadelphia and Arizona and Michigan, Wisconsin had stole the election. Everywhere where Black people was in major cities like Philadelphia, said the election was stolen there in those places. So we have to make sure that we are conscious of what's taking place, and that they are the one that are crook, but they are projecting this evil that they are doing upon everybody else so that they don't have to take account or responsibility for anything that they are doing.
Do you, Mr. Bill, what do you think about the new one? You're on mute.
You're on mute, Bill.
I think when it comes to people of color, we are monolith in that one area that we think that the justice system works for us. I've maintained and stood on it doesn't work for us. It has never worked for us. One day it may very well, but when our justice system sides on the side of the criminal and not the prosecutor simply because of melanin, I think that 45, if he has done nothing else, has truly opened our eyes to America, man. This is, Joe Biden says it isn't, but this is who we are. This is who America is. They've gotten on this guy's bandwagon, threw out three charges, says that the lead prosecutor has to be fired. This is America. And for some, I knew that he would not pull her off the case. That just, it wasn't anything there. But when it comes to us, it doesn't have to be anything there. We will still be scolded. The law doesn't work for us even if we work for the law. America is clear on this, and they show us time and time again. But I stand on the fact that this is who we are. And it's a crying shame that a judge, a sitting judge, I don't care who appointed them, at some point, you have to stop selling out and selling your soul. Mike Pence is not endorsing, but Mike Pence should have started speaking out
a year
6,
ago.
7, 8 weeks after this guy took over. He started out on the same thing he finished up with. This was who Donald Trump was. And Mike Pence stood silently, quote unquote Christian, for 4 years, man. You cannot sell your soul and then think that America is going to elect you, man. If you had some gumption early on and spoke out when he was calling our mothers SOBs, man, saying that there are good people, and we know who this is. But now, to me, it's so much larger than 45, man. I can't get over the almost 80 million people that voted for this guy 3.5 years ago, man. I cannot get over that. The first go around I get, but 4 years ago. And he will probably get 55, 60 this go round. I'm telling you, man, this is who America is. And I tell you where they are. They're in the cubicle next to you. They're in Walmart. They're all around us, man. because we are in the Riviera, man, and they're proud to call this the Redneck Riviera. But they're everywhere, skinning and grinning and talking pro Joe, but in their hearts, man, those are the ones, man. Watch your potlucks. Watch your potlucks.
Yeah, Mike Pence should have said something when they had the gallows up for him. They had a gallows and said they
you would think
that this person would have been, I would have been just absolutely went nuts on that person.
I would have.
But he wanted to run for president so bad. With the people, it wasn't Trump that built the gallows. It was the people outside that Trump influenced to build the gallows.
Absolutely.
Even though Trump's, his hands was all over it. His salivation was all over it. But by the same token, these dudes that he thought would vote for him were the one that wanted to lynch him.
Absolutely.
Why would you think these same people gonna vote for you if they had the propensity to lynch you, and you act as if it's okay, but you're not gonna say anything. You know this man running for dictatorship. You know the kind of person he is. You worked under him for 4 years, and you were loyal to him, and yet he didn't say a word when they decided they wanted to put up the gallows to lynch you. As a matter of fact, you the one told them that Mike Pence was not going to do his job, and they
Absolutely.
went.
Absolutely. And now that he will not endorse him, the reason he's saying that he isn't, he blames on some political issues, man. Instead of calling a spade, the guy has no gumption. He might as well go ahead and retire up in the Tar Heels in North somewhere. He might as well go on about his business, man, because he's done.
I want to take a moment just to appreciate and highlight you, Bill, because you've gone in 2 weeks now. You've given us 2 new predictions. I heard it tonight. Last week you said, Donald is going to be the nominee, and tonight you said he's going to get 50 to 60 million votes. So we are moving along this train, just along the Donald Trump train. I'm glad you have come to the rest of the table with us. To see that.
I will say, man, that he will not get the votes that he's thinking he's going to get. The press is telling you it's going to be close. I believe it not to be close, man. He's got a lot of defectors. And then yesterday, he says it's going to be a bloodbath if he doesn't win. Man, America ain't trying to hear all of that noise. Not after the 6th, and this is your campaign rhetoric now. I mean, yesterday, a bloodbath, he says. No, man. He's old news.
Well, can I just interject and give? Can I just interject and give a quick shout out to Bill Snow, who received a plaque today from Community House of Prayer for 17 years of faithfulness to the ministry. That's absolutely phenomenal, and just want to make sure everybody knows.
Thank you so much.
Hey, why didn't you do that earlier? That would have been.
You make it hard to get on top, to attack him and say something after that. Christina covering
Christina had to go on Facebook and look. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Christina.
That's a huge testament to you and what you've done in the community, and faithfulness to God, the community, everything. It's just a testament of who you are. So thank you for all you've done and continue to do.
I'm humbled. Thank you.
Let me ask, for going back to the Fonnie Willison decision rule, do you all think that the judge's decision to remove, or give the caveat that if Fonnie Willis remains, that Nathan Wade has to go, do you think that the decision, because I'm quite certain that Fonnie's going to say, okay, deuces, you got to go, but do you think that is going to impact the current case or the integrity of the case that the prosecution has built, with him not kind of spearheading it. Because he did, majority, I won't say the grunt work, but he was critical about getting where they are based on the case that he's put together against those defendants. Do you think that's going to negatively impact it or not?
Derek, my opinion is I think the judge did everybody a favor, because based on what's his name again, Fannis Bo, what's his name?
Nathan Wade.
Nathan Wade. Based on Nathan Wade's performance on stand, I wasn't impressed with that. And you gotta have somebody aggressive and so forth. See, I don't think he had the fortitude to get out there and get in the dirt and to try to prosecute Trump. I think I just didn't see that in him. So I'm glad they got rid of him. Maybe we can find somebody now that willing to get into the dirt and try to. He didn't see. I wasn't impressed with him. I might be wrong, but y'all tell me what you think.
But he's been the linchpin that's created the case for where we are. I won't say that Fonnie couldn't have done it, but he was the major component of getting them to where they are now. I don't know about the oral arguments, when it comes out of prosecuting or right, examination. But just the build-up.
It's about the team. So if you watch anything on TV, Vernon, you see that you have, the prosecutor, but who is behind the scenes coming in at the last minute with all the information that you need so the prosecutor can seal the deal. And that's who he was. Well, but I think that
I thought he was going to be the lead prosecutor in that case. Am I wrong about that?
He was.
Okay. Now, he might be a good background man, to help develop the case. I wasn't impressed with his sissified testimony on the stand, so I didn't see him as being that aggressive prosecutor that can get down in the dirt and fight back against how dirty Trump they were going to play. And so maybe this is an opportunity to get somebody now that willing to really, when I looked at Kamala Harris I thought was a great prosecutor. I mean, you can tell by her mannerism and everything based on her action, and that she was a good prosecutor. This guy, I just wasn't impressed with. So,
man, if Nathan Wade had come out of the gate with the confidence that Fonnie came out with, man, that judge would have found him in contempt. Man, come on.
Yeah,
well, right.
Come on, man. I mean,
that way on purpose. He had to and be docile on purpose.
Yeah,
you're looking at a different side of him because they knew what she was bringing. They couldn't go to it. Well, and he needed to sit there. Yes, no,
it's a move,
and I know it wasn't kind of like Jerry said about the gentleman who wasn't talking loud enough. I get it, but know that he knows his stuff, and know that had he been there, they would be in trouble, or they wouldn't have went through all of this.
But it's a moot point now. He's history.
Nothing. They'd have left him there.
But he's history now.
Well, it's not necessarily a moot point because you brought it up, and it's almost an insult to our brother, man. I believe if he had been kept on the case, man, he would have prosecuted, and I think he would have done a pretty decent job.
I saw more in Fannie. I thought so. She should be the one that be the lead prosecutor, if you ask me.
But see, he was going to be working for her, so he'd have done it, man. Look, man, Fonnie didn't come this far to lose, man. And I think the setting is perfect. They want a change of venue, and I don't blame them. Because they're cooked. That man, those three folk that then agreed to a deal already are what I call smart folk, man. They're in for it, man. You just mark my word. Now he can procrastinate. He can put it off to after the election. He can play pity pat, but Fonnie Willis is the real deal, bro.
Well, he's gonna do his delay tactics and hopefully that Fannie won't get reelected and the case won't get dropped. That's what they're hoping for.
That's what they're hoping for. But he's not winning the president, and that's what all his marbles is in that bag. His marbles are in, put it off to after the election, then I win, but he's not going to win, man.
what, the case or the election?
The elect neither.
Okay.
But he's banking on winning the election, and then in most of the cases at that point he thinks would be null and void, but not the state cases. But hey, it's neither here nor there. But he's going to lose the election in November, man.
Right.
So he can,
the way I looked at it, I agree with you, Bill and Jill, in the sense that I think Nathan Wade, at first I think Mr. Vernon, I understood where you were coming from when I first heard his testimony. I was like, okay, he's being a little bit too lawyerly in his response and less commanding. Now I get, what I think what we were missing is we were quick to judge his response because he knew he was setting up Fonnie Willis for the layup or the dunk, whatever you wanted to do, to the point I don't think two black folks can do that in the courtroom like that. That would have been
especially male,
too much for folks, at that standpoint. I agree. Sometimes we even. I use my own experience now dealing with some of these folks who shall remain nameless. If I go who Derek is, just a little bit of who Derek is has people, in our meetings, sometimes as I saw, they needed a hug because they were just so nervous about me being firm in what I was saying, and this is some stuff where I can't see a black man and then adding what Fonnie Willis brought to the table. Those people would have been like, "Oh Lord, I'm scared." That would have been a case of I'm scared. I need help, protection. Jill, I'm playing the screen. Yeah, how people do. Jill.
I think that's part of it, but the other part was, remember, she had the fight of her life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there is a time and a place. Don't take no disrespect to this, but if I am a woman fighting for my life, I need y'all to take the back seat for just a moment, and that's what he had to do. Because he couldn't contradict anything she said, and he had no idea what she was going to expose. So he played it low so that if she said it was over 2 months ago, it was over 2 months ago. If she said we had sex, we had sex. Whatever she said, that's what happened. That's where he needed to be at that moment. And he
did great.
That's where he had to be.
Yeah.
But Jill, in all due respect what you're saying, I understand your point of view. But remember now, Fannie wasn't scheduled to testify, period. So if she didn't at the very last minute force herself to testify, then it might have got left. What would have happened if she had not testified?
Do you realize that Fannie might not have been scheduled, but Fannie changed their mind? Now they didn't put it back up there, but she said, "I am testifying," and they let her testify. Well, I think they always knew, let's watch and see how it goes. I think they watched and saw the questions they were asking and knew. And either way, he still had to be right where he was, because I'm telling you, Vernon, the story, now we're going to get into something we probably shouldn't on here, but we're going to do it, Jerry, if it's okay. There's a difference in the way women think about relationships than men do. That's just the way it is. Y'all say, "Oh, we're just friends," and we think we're getting married in about 6 months. I'm just saying. So he couldn't say too much because the way she saw it is going to be so different. But it's just the way it is. We see things, we feel things, and y'all miss it. Y'all can have a girl that's, hanging on you, kissing on you. Y'all be like, "Oh, we just friends." And she's like, "No, that's my man. We go together." Y'all won't even know.
I hear you, Jill. I hear you. But what would happen had she not testified, though? If they just let it went on without her testifying? I think the results would have been totally different. Had she not come in there. I believe it would have been.
As long as he said, all he had to do was say that she paid with cash, because that's what stopped that judge. That judge said it's believable, and that's all he needed. It was believable that she could have paid him back with cash. Therefore, it would have been the same turn. It'd have been the same way, because she paid with cash, and then you had the waiter that said, "Yeah, she gave us $600 in cash. I remember," whatever it was. So I think it would have been the same outcome.
Well,
Hey,
I'm,
no,
I'm,
look
I'm,
at
I'm
it.
glad y'all got more confidence in
can I-
him. I got confidence in Fanny. I don't have any confidence in Wade. I have to tell you.
But you got to understand, Vern. He was the one that got all these people to confess to what they were doing. But he's probably a better prosecutor than he was a witness on the witness stand. And
so.
like Jill,
That's right. That's
he
right.
knew that he had to protect Fannie Willis. He had to protect her. You know, at first when I first saw him, I'm like, this dude, you know, until she came and hit that hot seat. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what the deal is here.
Yeah.
You know, when she came in there, she came in like the whirlwind, you know, and I'm glad she did what she did. And he went on and resigned. I'm glad he did that. So she wouldn't have to lose this case. But I'm sure that there were some people that's just as good in that office as Nathan Wade. But he was the one got all those confessions from those individuals.
Yeah.
And he was on the verge of getting some more before before everything flipped on them. The projection came on them rather than the person that committed the crime. The person that was prosecuting the crime became the criminal, you know, as always. Go ahead, Bill.
If the judge and those people behind the scene did not see Nathan as a threat, he would not have ruled the way he did. He wanted Nathan Wade out of there, my friend. Believe that. They know that guy knows his stuff, man.
Yeah. And again, you know, I just follow. I don't think that you know, this wasn't Nathan's fight. They weren't crucifying Nathan Wade in the press. They weren't saying that Nathan Wade did something inappropriate. This was a targeted attack on a Black woman. So, you know, this was Bonnie's fight, the fight, you know, if you understand what I'm saying. And she fought it, you know, and I can't go harder for you than you go harder for you. That's the way I look at it. From that perspective. So, you know, kudos to them.
So part of the part of this trial that I loved during the trial was when she said, "You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020." That was one of the lines I absolutely loved. And when we look at the judge and what a judge was trying to do to Fannie and everything else, you know, I really, really think about, you know, Judge Clarence Thomas, right? Supreme Court judge, accepted hundreds of thousands of gifts, right? Sits on the Supreme Court, but Fannie Willis can't go Dutch on a dinner. Make that make sense?
Exactly. And they were trying to make it as if it was a big deal if she had cash money. I'm not going anywhere without any cash money. Nowhere. Because, you know, anything electronically can shut down, you know, and it had, you know, I made my debit card at a hotel, and I didn't know that if you did your debit card, they could shut your money down, you know, and if I had some cash, you know, I know now that you have to use your credit card, but I used a debit card at that time, and I couldn't even use my card to get gas. My cash, which I was very perturbed about, but you know,
the cash drawer, excuse me, came up $1,000 short on a big sale day we had up at Home Place Furniture, and we're all in a meeting after the day was over. This, that, and the other. And some clown said, "Let's just see who got a bunch of hunters on them." I said, "Oh no, that ain't no testament, brother. I keep me a bunch of hunters on me." But you're absolutely right, man. Some people keep cash. I believe in it.
Ain't you?
I'm not good.
I'm like you guys. They never. I guess they never been experienced being Black. I always keep some cash on me, you know, just in case.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's what our parents used to tell us: keep some cash, at least have money to get back home.
Right.
You got that right.
I'm literally waiting on my mother to send me a text to tell me, see, I told you, because I am completely the opposite person. I never have a dollar bill on me. I don't keep cash money on me. And I would advise y'all to stop telling people that on the internet.
Yeah,
That y'all keep cash on. I don't want anybody to nobody to come looking for y'all.
It's a black thing.
I don't keep
Derek, it's a black thing. They wouldn't understand.
There you go. My reputation precedes me.
Right.
I'm not going to agree with Derek because last time I did, I got in trouble with Ms. Linda Scott. So I'm just going to say that if you carry cash, that's great. And if you don't, I understand. And I'm going to leave it at that. But I think that, Vernon, I think I understand why you're where you're at. But I do want you to know that there was anything else he would have done, he would have been in her way. And he knew her better than we know her, obviously. And he had full confidence that he could just give those, as Derek said, lawyer-like answers and move out the way, get off of that stand as fast as possible. So he could let her, you have to believe, especially the way she is. Think about it. You know how we have our nice side and then we have our other side. And if you are dating or close to us, you know our other side, you know to move just out of the way and be like, they don't know what's about to happen. And
yeah, she was ready. She had the look that she was ready, babe, and she was too.
Yeah.
It was attractive.
Yeah.
My interpretation of that was, maybe I'm wrong, but my interpretation of that was that she saw the whole thing. And I felt like she felt, okay, this is my interpretation of it. The brother didn't do me justice here. Let me defend myself here, because if I don't defend myself, this thing gonna go a whole different direction. And she went in and thank God she went in, and she did a great job. She cleared things up, and she wasn't shy about it. She wasn't meek and mild. She wasn't giving these loyal answers. She got hood-like sometimes, and she did the same thing they would have done. And she defended herself, and I believe I would believe, had she not testified, it'd have been a whole different ball game.
Okay, so Vernon, I'm just going to say one more time that he probably would have said something like, I'm going to be a man for a second. Oh, yeah, we broke up 6 months ago. The hell we did. We didn't a week ago. I'm just telling you. So he had to do what he had to do.
But what's the value of that, though? So what?
I'm just giving you an example of why it's important, because she knew what she needed to say. She needed to say what they needed to hear. Whatever the date was that they needed to break up, that's what she told them.
Yeah.
I had been telling them the truth 6 months ago, but his job was not to tell the truth right now. His job is to there, answer the questions, get out of the way, and let me do what I need to do so that I can lay it the way it needs. I'm not saying she lied, but I'm just saying in his mind, they could have broke up 6 months ago. And in her mind, no, it wasn't. It was 3 months on March 27th at 2 p.m. when I told you, take your stuff out of my house and leave.
I'm not questioning.
As long as your head was laying in my bed and we still together.
I'm not questioning the content. I'm questioning the process. I just didn't like the way how he delivered it. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And then I just didn't see that aggressiveness in him. He was just trying to get off the stand, just meek and mild. That's what I saw.
Hey guys.
Well, again, as I said, I think America agreed with you, because if you remember the political commentary after his testimony, everybody was concerned about the direction of where the case was going to go. They were like, "Oh Lord, this is a train wreck."
Yeah,
Well,
right.
that's where Vernon got it from, the right way.
I guess we didn't. Again, yeah. Well, no, even MSNBC was saying, "Oh, this is a train wreck. Oh,
that's right
see, this ain't good."
Jared said it right
and then finally got up there and they were like, "Oh, okay, we back, we good, we back." And I'm like, "Okay, well, maybe we just didn't know the plan. Maybe that's what it was, the game." Because the whole time he's like, "Well, did I do this?" I'm like, and I remember as a child always hearing attorneys say, when you don't want to answer a question, but you can't lie, just say not to my recollection. And I always remember that. It's always stuck out to me. So you're not giving a dishonest answer. You just, I don't recall. Right. And I heard him say not to my recollection several times. I'm like, oh, Lord, Jesus, here we go. I'm like, and then afterwards, we didn't know. To Jill's point,
Derek,
he needed to go get out the way.
I know, but I don't recall, when you do recall, is a lie?
I can't tell you what you recall or what you don't. You can't prove what I recall and don't recall. I'm not gonna say, didn't you slap John Jones in the face? I'm not gonna tell you no if I did. I'm just gonna say I don't recall. You can't prove that I recalled it unless I said so yesterday and now I don't recall today. That would be very different. But I don't know. It's legalese. It's what I grew up here.
The only problem
is answer no questions. I don't.
The only problem is when Bill saw you slap him. That's when the problem comes in.
You know why?
Well, no, you see me slap him, but you didn't ask me. Did somebody see me? You asked me, did I remember? And I don't recall. So
that alludes to TD's statement here. And what about her so-called friends who testified against her? You just can't trust people. So, Vern, thank you for that segue. But, man, look, man, if I see you, man, I ain't seen nothing. I learned that as a little boy. I ain't seen nothing. I ain't heard nothing.
So can I just say
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I don't believe anybody, I don't believe Fanny lied on the stage. I don't believe the guy lied. I just want to say that I don't believe they lied. I think they were the most truthful, and they're prosecuting liars. They're prosecuting the people who stole the election, but I don't believe they lied, misled, or did anything of the sort.
And they didn't. I mean, it was.
Thank you for that disclaimer, Christina. I don't believe any of us said that they lied. However, I know that they told the story and the truth that they needed to tell to make sure that the end result was that Trump is on trial and not her.
They answered the questions that were posed to them. I think that's the best way to say it. Like, they answered the questions that were posed. You start digging different lanes, and that's different.
What they did was succeed in delaying this case. They succeeded in doing that by putting the prosecutor on trial. Mm-hmm. They reversed everything, and it's absolutely they proved nothing. They did not prove nothing, and that's what what incensed me so much when the judge said it left an odor of mendacity. I'm like, you the one have left an odor of mendacity. You the one that said for sure that you didn't find anything nefarious going on. You said that out your own mouth. But then you turn around and make this political statement, which the guy that did the same thing that was with the Justice Department heard. Yeah, that did it to Joe Biden. Only thing they did was add on something. The only thing that needed to be said, we didn't find no evidence of impropriety.
That's right.
There was nothing that she did for monetary
gains.
Yeah, monetary gains that her and Nathan Wade did. We found nothing there. It was a nothing burger that was put forward to the American people and trotted out and used by the media to really dethrone Fonnie Willis. I mean, the media was spreading all these lies about it. I'm listening to this crap, and I'm like, no. If she was dealing with this guy, so what? It happens every day. And I imagine that judge have been dealing with people that was on his subordinate. I'm saying I imagine that. I ain't say he did it.
Right.
Every day. So the thing about it, for him to say all of the thing, add all of this, oh yeah, the bar, then the state legislators, and now you gave them the permission to go after her for something that she have not done, only because she's prosecuting Trump for what he did, the crime that he committed, and the crimes of all these others that confessed to the crime. But Giuliani, who was getting ready to come up to be prosecuted, the other guy that was in the White House, they were all complicit in this thing. But yet the judge put the blame on Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis. I'm like, wow.
Yes.
Again, this is targeted attacks at a Black woman and to impugn their character, a Black man to impugn his character. And this, again, I'm just going to use this as an example and move on. In all of this, this is a definition of what people of color call racist behavior. Just because they didn't say the N-word out loud or call people blacks or whatever the case may be with a hard B, it's still the same genre and the same brand that we people of color are used to and experience. So yeah, Jill.
I have a question.
You have an answer.
So anybody can answer this, but do you think it's because racism is real? And so I'm wondering why it is that we can live in the counties that we live in. We'll just talk about Northwest Florida because we don't live everywhere else, where racism is here. It's absolutely here. But yet they can watch something like this and be like, yeah, go. I just don't understand how one moment with the real people, that would be all of us, that you can have racist tendencies, but you can watch something on TV and call it out as if it's racism, as if you don't know that you do that to us. Does that make sense? Why is that? And what do you do about it? Why is it that they can, in one moment, you can be all in, and the next moment that you're literally doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Jill?
I've said over and over again, white supremacy supersedes everything, even people's own livelihood. For white supremacy, the interests of poor white people will give up their interests in something for whiteness, which cannot do anything for them. This construct that has been put in place for centuries now have worked to their advantage and detriment at the same time, especially for poor whites. And but they got them so brainwashed that they will believe that we're the one taking something from them. We're the one that making policies that hurt them. We're the one that won't expand Medicare and Medicaid and Medicare in the country. We're the one that's causing insurance to rise in the country. All of the interests that they have would be, if we would force those interests together, could really save America. But white supersede that. I can't work with them because they are Black. Even though they got the best ideas, the best presentation, whatever it may be, they got the best. I can't use it because they are Black.
But why is it? But I guess the question I get what you're saying, but I guess the question said differently that I think I understand Jill is asking is why is it that they can recognize, same people can recognize racist tendencies and ideology and acts in other people, but unable to identify that same behavior in and of itself. Like, if I can see,
like they're all in on the book band or whatever, but then they turn right around and that same thing to us, the uses that are here working,
and they don't recognize it. Yeah.
Derek, I had a friend of mine used to have a saying all the time. You can see that toothpick in my eye, but you can't see that log in yours. Okay? But people, they're not impacted by it directly as we are impacted directly. One of the reasons I think that the Poor People campaign in America kind of failed is because you got an elite class that want to keep the masses ignorant. They realize that if poor white folks ever become educated on their trickeries, and then it could change the whole trajectory of the United States. But as long as they can keep poor white folks ignorant and poor, and then that's fine. But if they wake up, they're the majority. And so I just believe that you have to first of all be impacted by a situation to understand it. Okay, you can say that you can be as unbiased as you want to be. You're not until you hit directly with that situation. Then you have to deal with it. You know, maybe you can say I'm against what's wrong with racial marriages. Then your daughter, your son bring home somebody of an opposite race, and then you're confronted with it and just see how unbiased you are with it. I believe for the masses of white people in this country, they haven't had the opportunity to be impacted directly by these actions. They can see it from afar, okay, but they hadn't experienced racism up front. They hear about it and see about it. So it's something that they can't relate to because they never experienced. Maybe a few of them, but most of them had never experienced racism directly, and so they can't relate to it. I think that's one of the main reasons. And as long as the other folks keeping them fat, dumb, and happy, then we will continue that way.
I think a lot more of them, Vernon, are being impacted by it than you may know. I really do. I have a client of mine that I transport whose daughter is married to a brother. And she said she was telling me one day, just candid conversation, how she just despises and can't stand him, and it has nothing to do with his color. But she did say that she called him the N-word the other day. And I asked her, I said, would you call your grandkids the N-word? She said, no. I said, then you cannot call him the N-word. And she dropped her head. And I think she took it in. She realized what I had just said. But yeah. I think more of them are being impacted, man, because there's a lot of them bringing brown babies home, man.
See, I still struggle. Like I use it from a different analogy, and it totally unrelated. But if someone, I'll just say ideally, if someone, let's say person A is 400 pounds, right? Which from a health standpoint, you consider that obese all the way, or fat, whatever colloquialism you want to use. And they're looking at the television and they see someone who's 400 pounds and they say, they're fat. But then someone says to them, well, you're the same size, you're big, you're fat too. And they're like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. How do you have the ability to recognize an action or something that you see in someone else, but not have the ability to recognize that same characteristic in yourself? I get the impact where you can, where it may not affect you. But I'll just say, if, in my opinion, if someone not of color can look at an action, an intent, and deliberately classify that as, from their experience, as a racist or overt action or racism, overt action of racism, why then can they not identify that same behavior if they do it to someone else and someone else called it racist? Yeah, that's the piece that I struggle with in this scenario. I know. I get all of what you're saying. It's just the ability to self-identify.
And I don't
When
think,
you
Vernon, that it's that they don't, so DeSantis says that slaves benefited and they're all in an uproar. Oh no, that's terrible, that's awful. But then they treat people, black and brown people, like we are supposed to have benefited. You treat us subpar, you talk about us, you say things, you do things. That's not them not knowing. They're doing it on purpose, Vernon. They know what they're doing, but then you know who they go and ask? Their group of people that look like them.
Right.
So if I look like, if I'm Caucasian, let's just say, and black and brown people think you've done something, and you go and ask the group of Caucasian people that you hang out with, was that racist? Was that a microaggression? Should I have said that? They're probably going to say, no, I don't think so. Out of honesty, maybe then I'll give you what you said, Vernon. But if the black and brown person says to you, hey, that hurt my feelings, or that was inappropriate, or here, maybe when you say such and such, that's like us saying white trailer trash, and then their mouths drop open. I'm just saying, I'm giving you examples, then they get it, but it shouldn't be like that. Why is it that they can fight? They'll stand next to us and they will fight. What DeSantis said was terrible. They wanted to write, they took over some of them. We, black and brown people, wrote a fabulous press release and they took it like it was theirs.
Well, Jill, one of the things that you got to understand, I know you understand this, I don't mean to come off like that, but human behavior is just something else. I was listening to a person one day and they were trying to tell me how ugly another person was, right? And as they was talking to me, and my thought process was, have you looked in the mirror? Okay, that's what I was thinking about at that time. But they were willing to do that. So people, it's just like an alcoholic. Okay, an alcoholic think that they're not an alcoholic. It's the next person that that's an alcoholic, but they can't see it in themselves. That's where the problem is. Okay. Until, like alcoholism, like any other kind, until you go through a 12-step process, it's hard for you to identify with your own demons, okay? Because most folks think they're perfect in their own right, and they generally don't see themselves in other people. So, and I think that's what white people suffer from, because they have very little experience or no experience in dealing with the atrocities of discrimination and racism and stuff like that, but they just don't see it. Okay.
I want to say, Vernon, I think the idea of the alcoholism, like not being able to see it in yourself, but being able to see it in somebody else or somewhere else, I think that is a great example. I think a lot of it is kind of disassociation, because when somebody calls out somebody white for doing something like that, they don't see themselves as the same as that person over there or the same as that person there, and they will fight and vehemently deny everything. So like, even if you were to go, like, when you go back and look at what happened like in the 60s or during desegregation, the folks who were fighting desegregation, many of them during that time will tell you that they weren't racist, that they weren't this or they weren't that. And they absolutely were. But if you were to show that to their children today, they would be like, yes, that's absolutely racism, X, Y, Z. But if you go back to them, they would have said that I wasn't racist. I didn't harm anybody. I wasn't this, that, or the other. And vehemently, horribly, horrible racism that a lot of, I think white folks can see it in other places, but will adamantly deny that they're doing it, benefiting from it, or experience it at all, because they don't want to see what's there in themselves. Yeah. And they definitely don't want to be told it. So they will lie, deny, whatever. And what you said, Jill, was really important, going back to group of white folks and asking. What is even harder is when they may go back to somebody who is Black, and somebody Black may say, no, I don't think that was bad. And that creates just that, like, gives them a pass to do whatever, because they went and asked their Black friends X, Y, and Z. So that's what I think.
I think Vernon's ugly analysis was better than the alcoholic.
Can I give you another a crude analysis, really? But it's appropriate, and that goes back to what I'm saying. Not until you're personally impacted by it, until you really can fully understand it. I got one. It's a thing that I can't get used to. You know, honestly, I say this on the surface. I don't have anything against trans or anything like that, right? But when I see the commercials on TV where two men kissing, that's just hard for me to deal with. Okay. And my wife always gets to me about, oh, you don't deal with that, but you like when two women kissing. Yeah. Okay. She said, you like that? I said, okay. I said, but what's wrong with two men kissing? I said, okay. Suppose your son bring a man home, you see him kissing on another man. Okay. Your son, not what you see on TV. Then she said, oh, that's different.
Well, let me ask you.
It is no different.
So Vernon, let me
impacted. So she hadn't been impacted by it. Now, she would have a whole different of opinion if her son bring home a man. Okay?
Vernon.
Yes.
You open this up. So I'm just saying. I'm not, yeah. In that scenario, that only works because you want it to work. Because she should have turned around and said to you, and so then if you had a daughter and your daughter was kissing somebody, would it be just as exciting for you as it is on TV?
Probably.
Drop mic. Just like, so that didn't work. You put her in a scenario where she had to answer, but if she was quick, you'd have been like,
going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, way.
Vern, you are crazy, man.
No, listen though, but my whole point is so we don't lose sight of what we was talking about. The original question was, why do people can't see that what in themselves what they can see in others? That was the original question. And I'm trying to understand the psychology behind all of that. And I sometimes go back to my question is that when it comes to us, we can't see our faults, okay? We generally can't see our faults. We see this, we have the same faults or worse than everybody else, but we can project it on everybody else, but we can't see it in ourselves until we walk the mile in their shoes. Once you experience it, then you can understand it a little bit more. And my whole point is, I think majority of white America had not experienced the same kind of things that we have done as Black Americans. That's my whole point. But we lose sight of that.
Patricia Turner Jefferson on our live Facebook stream says negative behavior often speaks to a person's own feelings about themselves. But TD Taylor says, turn Vernon's mic off, please.
Love who you love. That's all I gotta say. Love who you love, and yeah.
Oh goodness!
And nobody ever said we had to agree on it, did they?
Funny Willis, Rose Shelby Williams says Funny Williams is coming up for re-election in November. Hopefully her constituency will re-elect her. I hope she get re-elected overwhelmingly, so that there won't be any mistake about who she is.
She running in 2024, Jerry?
Yeah, she running.
She got re-elected. Okay. So
November,
I think, see, as a part of that strategy was that they're trying to run out the clock on. They hope that if she didn't win, then they have to start from scratch all over again. So it's a method in their madness. Trust me.
Oh yeah, they done strategize that night and day. And that's why they end up delaying this. But I think she's gonna come back with a full tank and gonna be eating somebody up.
Yes.
Because when I saw her jump in that chair, she told that judge, "I'm testifying." That's all I needed to see. I knew then that she, because everybody was saying she was in trouble and she had had a self-inflicted wound. I'm like, no, she didn't. She did not. And what is the hell is being that got to do with her private life. Anyway, no lawyer goes on trial and they private life as a prosecutor is brought up before the courts. Judges just usually don't allow that. And
again, they talked. I mean, she said two of your opposing counsels are men, right? So it's like, well, what are you talking about? Again, this is when the demonization and attempt to criminalization of Black folks, Black people. I think Mr. Bill, you said it best. I might have to requote it, or I might have tweeted. Even if you work for the law don't work for you. I would wholeheartely agree with that. But in the words of, I saw a meme on, and I haven't posted. I get do so at a later point. It was a meme with Fonnie Willis. She said, "I ain't going nowhere," and I'm like, "There you go. We appreciate you." And again, a lesson learned. I think one of the things that I take from this, is you don't let anybody else write your narrative. When people, again, I'm gonna continue to say this, and I say it all the time. When people play in your face, sometimes you have to get right back with them and show them who you are, and you don't, sometimes I know people say, well, the Lord said, just turn the other cheek and vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Sometimes I take a different approach. I always ask, like, excuse me, Lord, forgive me. I'll be right back with you, but I got to handle something. and that's what I do. It get handled. So, and then I go right back to my walk with the Lord. I posted the other day, I'm a Christian, but I will cuss you out. So
so if you keep turning the other cheek, you won't have a cheek. You'll be on the ground somewhere. That person all about business. But like that part I saw in the Bible, like, obey your earthly masters if you would, if you was obeying God and all that. I'm like, I know there's somebody put this bull in here. I'm not obeying anybody, not no earthly person, and but that's the kind of stuff that people want you to do. Turn your other cheek and, just take it on, I'm from that other field of thought.
Well, I think the Democratic Party began to see all of that now, because I think the Democratic Party really turned their cheeks a lot, and trying to show it don't always work when somebody is fighting dirty with you. It's hard to fight clean, okay? And like Merrick Garland, and I guess I don't know what in the hell he was thinking, appointing her to that commission and trying to prove that because he's a Republican, he's gonna find nothing, that they were gonna say, okay, everything's fine. That wasn't gonna work. And I think they go too far in trying to be equal. I agree with that. I think sometimes you got to slap back.
Yeah.
Merrick Garland waited 2 years before he appointed a public counselor to try this case for the shenanigans that Trump have done. 2 years into it, and I'm like, why? One of the things, one of the sisters we had on, attorney Keith, she always talked about that. She was very perturbed by. She was saying he should resign. She was on Twitter and everything that you could put your name on. She was on it, and calling for him to resign because he hadn't done anything to make sure that Trump never, won again, or be able to run for president. So, that's one person I agree with, man.
Yeah. Okay, next subject, Derek.
So I was trying to do something at the same time, and I lost my place and my train of thought with that. Right now, I don't know that. Well, I guess we have a couple things to celebrate and wins that have taken place. here that we'll call them, I guess, is wins. From a national perspective, I don't know if you guys know, Representative Kim Buck resigned today, or resigned last week, rather, I should say, which lessened the Republican majority down from 219 to 218 versus the Democratic seat of 213. So there is a 5-person difference between Democrats and Republicans in Congress. If we are successful in this presidential election, we could I want to say our first Black Speaker of the House, but I don't know if we've had one.
Hakeem
So I'm just going to say a Black Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In this upcoming term, what do you guys think of that? How do you think that's it's plausible based on the progression and the issues that we could have a Democratic stronghold in the House of Representatives, ultimately making a Black Speaker of the House?
I believe that we will have a Black Speaker of the House this coming year after the election. I think that people are kind of fed up, or a lot of people are fed up with getting nothing done in the House. I mean, we got a short-term bill up to 24th of this month, meaning that next week you got to go through all this all over again instead of passing a bill that will last at least to the end of the year, so that you can pay the bills and make sure that everybody gets what. But instead, you hold up the Congress, you hold up the ability for people to do the work that need to be done by these short-term bills that you put forward that's only last a week or two, and then you got to go into committees and start all over again for another 2 or 3 weeks. It just, I mean, the people that's leading the Congress, they're not ready. Johnson is not ready. That's just the simple fact of it.
Jill, you're about to say something, I think. What were you about to say?
I don't remember, but I will say something. I think that is absolutely possible, but only if people go out and vote. It is not possible, it's possible in our dreams. I really wanted Bill to say something. I was waiting for Bill to go, and he kind of pointed, he was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna say nothing," but that's okay. I wanted him to give us our prediction, but the reality is that if we don't get out and vote, so if Biden wins, then there's an absolute possibility that absolutely could happen. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to happen. But what I would say to everyone is go out and vote anyway, because even in the case that there is an upset, we still can have control somewhere else. So we can't just get caught up, and this is where I do think Bill is correct. We can't get caught up in, what the polls are saying and what this is saying. You just got to go vote. Now, the polls might, in the end, they might be right. And we'll come back on this show and while we still can before January, if that were to happen, before they shut us down, we'll let you know. But if we do what we're supposed to do across this country and we realize that everything is at stake, and it truly, truly is at stake this time, and vote, then we can make those changes. We can see a democracy that represents everybody. All of that is literally cast your freaking vote. And I would say absolutely. But if we sit at home, or if we're trying to figure out, Vernon, don't get mad at me, we're trying to figure out whether what's his name? Nathan, whatever his name was. Whether he was a good prosecutor, not a good prosecutor, should I go or should I not go? I'm just saying we can't have those kind of conversations. When it comes to voting in November and the primaries, you got to just go out and vote. Don't worry about whether it's raining. Don't worry about whatever. Go out, get educated on what you're voting on, and vote. Just vote. Don't worry if you're the only person in your family. Make sure you're not the only person in your family. Take everybody. Don't worry about if you know the news tells you, you know, somebody's Biden's 20,000 behind. Go make sure it's 19,999 because you voted. Just, I mean, it literally has to be that right now. That's we want to see these possibilities become realities, then we got to do something.
Look, guys, we got the momentum. We've got the momentum. Kamala was in Minnesota at an abortion rights kind of place. I believe that there's going to be a Democratic surge. Now, the media isn't telling us this, but I've been watching, and the woman's anatomy and what she can do with it is on the balance, and I believe that is going to be the difference maker. I'm telling you, Republicans know, the ones that has any sense, the Romneys, the Buck, they know to just step back because it's going to. They rather walk away than to be voted away. And I'm telling you, man, we've got some great races going in a lot of swing vote cities. And if the Biden-Harris ticket stays on message, man, because I'm telling you, the momentum is swinging. And we can take control, man, and do some things. I believe we will win the presidential race by a large number. But election night, you guys are going to be amazed at the outcome of what the Democrats are going to do on that off vote. Promise you.
So I want to chime in. I believe that if we show up, you know, there's a lot that can happen between now and November. So, but if we show up and if things are going how they're going now, not only can we keep the presidency, I truly believe we have the opportunity to take 8 to 10 seats across the nation, provided, but again, there's a lot that can happen between now and November. The Speaker of the House, the presiding officer of the House, is elected by whichever party has the most voting members in its powerful role. After the Vice President, the Speaker is second in line for the presidential succession. The Speaker manages all business in the House of Representatives, including appointing committee members. The reason why Nancy Pelosi was so important, I don't believe we would have the Affordable Care Act passed if it wasn't for the work of Nancy Pelosi. So I am here for it. I believe Hakeem Jeffries will be Speaker of the House. I'm gonna state that now, provided that we show up and vote. I believe there's going to be some surprises, but if we don't show up and vote, if there's apathy, if things change, it's not going to happen. But we can make it happen if we show up and vote.
And keep sticking that microphone in Donald J's face. He's going to talk himself right on out of being even close.
Well, what's worse than Donald J, when you listen to some of those people that they are interviewing that support him, they have no clue. I mean,
none.
I mean, when they ask the follow-up question, they don't have a clue as to what is being even asked of them. And that's, you know, to me, I'm saying it's good because it's exposing this idea of white supremacy and intellectuals and all of that now we are seeing on television live, and they have no clue of what's going on. And I'm happy about it. You know, I'm happy that they are being exposed, because they've been having Black people think all these years that we are the dumb people of the earth, you know, that we have no intellectual intelligence, you know. So yeah, I'm glad that these people are being exposed the way they are, and that they, like you say, keep putting that camera in their face.
That's right. Their follow-up is because he said so.
Yeah.
That's their follow-up. They don't have a clue because he said so.
That's amazing. Derek, you want to hit on those cop cities?
Yeah, we can. Please go ahead. Introduce that first.
in Atlanta and in New York, they are building these cop cities, and probably, I know it's in more places than that, but we have to ask the question, why are they building these cop cities? For what reason? If they're spending money after money after money on law enforcement, but nothing to help the community that they supposed to be protecting, or making sure that nothing go wrong in those communities. But you give all the money to law enforcement, but there are places in those same cities where they get not a dime to make sure that the roads the streets are protected, are cleaned, the housing that need to be upgraded and updated, made sure none of that is taking place. So the people that are suffering in those communities are the one that's being harassed. And now in New York, they have implemented the stop and frisk again. On top of that, now in order to get on the train, you have to be searched to get on the train to travel from, if you're going to a job. What kind of delay is that going to cause people that's trying to get to work that's already on a crowded train, but you got to go through all this to get on the train? That's from the governor and the mayor of New York. And the mayor of New York seemed to be getting worse and worse as far as when it comes to Black people.
Remember, you're a cop now.
Yeah, I know he was a cop. And the thing about it, they just gave $180 million to the descendants of the Holocaust. But the people that built New York don't get a dime. The people that the stock market was built on off of their backs. That was the first thing that the stock market was built off was Black people, trading stock. Now they don't get a dime for anything that they do, and I'm not saying that if you're going to give $180 million to the Holocaust survivors, fine, but make sure you give something to Black people as well, who have suffered under the indignation that that has been applied to us for over 5 centuries almost. And then on top of that, reversing everything that we have fought for 50 to 60 years of fighting for our rights in the country, and now they are being taken. But you don't see that, but you can see everybody else's problem except the problem of Black people in this country. Go.
So there are, from what I understand, 69 cop cities being built or already built since 2020 across the U.S. The only state that doesn't have a project for it is North Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming. My concern about this is this militarizes the police. This doesn't work to help police deal with folks who have mental incapacities. This doesn't help anything for the situations that we've been going through. And it's really alarming. And also on top of that, when you look at the surveillance that is now being funneled through the cop cities establishment and other nations, it's just extremely alarming. This is why local elections are so important. Many people bypass local elections, but this is where that funding comes from, through your local elections, through things like your commissioners, through things like your governors, through things like all of that. Super, super, super important. We don't have a seat at the table where any of these things are happening. And it's highly, highly alarming. And it's all started since really 2020, since the Black Lives Matter movement. That's how I view this. And again, it doesn't help. It's not helping our communities. It's militarizing the police.
Right, and we already got a militarized police force. And they just, and a lot of these people, what I read is that these people are being trained a lot of time by the Israelis, who are known for their brutal treatment of people of color. And so I have no, I don't know why that you can't use law enforcement to help the people that live in certain communities, but only thing you are doing is adding more crime. You're criminalizing a community by forcing them to do stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily do. But if the law enforcement lived in those communities or was forced to live in certain communities, a lot of things would change. At one time in Chicago, they had to live in the community that they served. But now, nobody is forcing anything. And a lot of times, a lot of these cities are run by Black mayors and Black city councils. And they are the one pushing this stuff onto the Black community or allowing it to happen in the Black community, just like in Atlanta. Atlanta is, at least 51 to 52% Black. But, you building a cop city, really? What are we talking about? Why is it that Black people are having to beat down other Black people? That's the question I'm asking. What are the reasons behind that? What are you getting out of it? There
makes sense. Yeah. Well, just to as we have just a few moments, about 3 minutes left. Ms. McIntosh, do you have any book reviews that you would like to do before we close out?
Yes, sure do. Since this is Women Month again, I want to make sure this is by Michelle Obama, but Becoming. I know most of you have already read that one. Also, this is Sister Soldier. No disrespect, Sister Soldier. Definitely a good read. And of course, I showed this earlier. Amanda Gorham, What We Carry. It's the book. Then I have Nicole Avant, Think You Will Be Happy. It's really a great book for those who are going through grief. And then The Warmth of Other Summers by Isabel Wilkerson. So make sure that you get those books. But we're going to continue to do books. We do books all year, but we're going to continue to do books, and we're going to continue to highlight women as well as men who have written great books, who are doing great things for our community, and who are leading our community. Want to read the Million Man Pledge again because someone asked me would I do it again, so I'm going to do it again. It said, I pledge that from this day forward, I will strive to love my brother as I love myself. This was in 1995 when we went to the Million Man March. It said, from this day forward, will strive to improve myself spiritually, morally, mentally, socially, politically, economically, for the benefit of myself, my family, and my people. I pledge that I will strive to build business, build houses, build hospitals, build factories, and enter into international trade for the good of myself, my family, and my people. I pledge that from this day forward, I will never raise my hand with a knife or a gun to beat, cut, or shoot any member of my family or any human being except in self-defense. I pledge from this day forward, I will never abuse my wife by striking her, disrespecting her, for she is the mother of my children and the producer of my future. I pledge that from this day forward, I will never engage in the abuse of children, little boys or little girls, or for sexual gratification. I will let them grow in peace to be strong men and women for the future of our people. I will never again use the B word to describe any female, but particularly my own Black sisters. I pledge from this day forward that I will not poison my body with drugs or that which is destructive to my health, my well-being. I pledge from this day forward I will support Black newspaper, Black radio, Black television. I will support Black artists who clean up their acts to show respect for themselves and respect for their people and respect for the ears of the human family. I will do all this, so help me God. This was from the 1995 Million Man Pledge when we were there. So back to you, Derek.
Okay, well, certainly we do thank everybody for, again, tuning in with us this week. We appreciate you spending these 2 hours with us. We ask that you join us next week as we will continue the conversation. On behalf of all the hosts, we say good night, have a great week, and make sure that you are productive. Take care, everybody.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, we're off. Good night, everybody.